Title: Wife of 20 years caught, so husband destroys wife and affair partner. Reddit cheating stories. The night David Miller discovered the truth about his wife began like any other, quiet, ordinary, and deceptively peaceful. The smell of fresh coffee filled the kitchen, a routine he and his wife, Laura, had shared for 20 years. He smiled as he poured her a cup, not knowing it would be the last time he'd ever do it as her husband. David was a man of patience, a hard-working contractor who built homes from the ground up, including the very one they lived in. He'd given Laura everything she could ever want, a comfortable life, 2 children in college, and unwavering love. For years, he thought their marriage was unbreakable. But even the strongest foundations can crack from within. It began with something small. Laura had grown distant. Late night, work calls, a new perfume she claimed a friend gave her, and a sudden obsession with going to the gym. David had brushed it off at first, blaming himself for being too busy with work. But then one evening, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed. The message preview froze his world in place. Greater than, can't stop thinking about last night. Same hotel tomorrow. His heart stopped. The sender was saved under the name, Mark, accounting. But David wasn't a fool. He knew every one of Laura's coworkers. There was no Mark. He could have confronted her right then. Instead, he did something colder, smarter. He played along. Over the next 2 weeks, David pretended nothing was wrong. He kissed her goodnight, made dinner, even helped her pick a new dress for a client dinner. Every act of affection now cut him deeper, because he knew that dress wasn't for him. He followed her one evening, staying far enough behind so she wouldn't notice. When she stopped at a hotel downtown and stepped out of her car laughing with a tall man in a suit, something inside David shattered beyond repair. He filmed everything. Every touch. Every stolen kiss. Every betrayal. But his revenge wasn't about rage, it was about exposure. David wanted them both to feel the same humiliation he had endured in silence. A week later, on their 20th wedding anniversary, David planned a dinner party. Laura was thrilled, thinking he was finally making time for her. Their closest friends, neighbors, and even her sister gathered in their home. The table was set perfectly, candles, music, laughter. But David had one more surprise planned before dessert. When everyone settled in, he stood and raised a toast. To 20 years of love, loyalty, and truth, he began, his voice calm but icy beneath the surface. And tonight, I'd like to share a little video, a memory of what these 20 years have really meant. Laura's smile froze as the TV flickered to life. The room went silent. The video showed her and Mark entering the hotel. Her laughter, her touches, her betrayal, all playing on loop. Gasps filled the air. Her sister covered her mouth in shock. Mark's face, clear as day, appeared next to her, kissing the woman he thought he'd stolen in secret. Laura screamed, rushing toward the screen, but it was too late. The truth was out. David, please. She cried, her face pale. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, he said, voice trembling. I gave you everything, and you threw it away for a man who isn't even half of what we built together. Mark, who'd arrived late to the party, burst through the door in panic. The crowd turned on him instantly. His own wife, one of Laura's gym friends, slapped him across the face before storming out in tears. David didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He simply handed Laura divorce papers right there in front of everyone. I'm done, he said quietly. You can keep the house, but you'll never have my respect again. Laura fell to her knees, sobbing, begging him to talk in private. But David walked out, leaving her to face the wreckage she'd caused. Over the next months, the divorce finalized swiftly. Mark lost his marriage, his job, and his reputation after the video leaked among their social circles. David, meanwhile, poured his energy into rebuilding, not houses this time, but himself. He started a small YouTube channel called Rebuilding Life, sharing his story anonymously under a Reddit thread titled, Wife of 20 Years Caught, Here's How I Took My Power Back. His raw honesty drew thousands of viewers, men and women alike, who saw their own pain in his story. One evening, a comment stood out to him. Greater than, you didn't destroy her, David. You exposed the truth, and built something stronger in its place. It struck him deeply. For the first time, he realized his revenge wasn't about destroying his wife, it was about freeing himself from the lie he'd been living. A year later, David met someone new. Emily, a widowed teacher who'd stumbled on his channel while healing from her own heartbreak. They met for coffee, then dinner, then quiet walks by the lake where they talked about love, trust, and starting over. She didn't fill the void Laura left, she helped him discover that happiness wasn't about replacing someone, but rediscovering himself. By the time David shared his full story online, his message was clear. Greater than, betrayal doesn't define you. How you rise from it does. Don't let someone's lie make you forget your worth. And as thousands of people around the world watched his story, many found hope in his pain, a reminder that even the deepest wounds can lead to the strongest rebirths. Moral. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't destruction, it's dignity. It's walking away with your head held high, while those who broke you are left to face their own reflection.